This morning we talked a lot about, and I appreciate you guys being here. I'm excited to be with you. We talked a little bit about this whole concept of how to separate ourselves from our competition. We're going to get into that, but tomorrow we're going to role play that. If you can make it to a morning meeting or even join us online, I would love to see that happen. But look, this business comes down to three components, and I don't care what part of the business that you're in, whether it's title, mortgage, real estate, you're a leader in the company, it's the same stuff: mindset, skills, and discipline. And if you start looking at this business really closely, you start to recognize that those who are the most disciplined are the ones who make the most money. And the great challenge is the ability to just persevere through the necessary activities in this business that we have to perform on. So as you move through your career, wherever you're coming from, just as a reminder, in fact, Drew's in here, we were talking about this yesterday, but just as a reminder, everything you guys want out of your life, especially economically, is outside of your comfort zone. There should almost be nothing about this that is comfortable. It should be uncomfortable because you're changing, and just human nature is homeostasis. We want to stay in the same situation with the same stuff, and what's always funny is people say, well, I want things to change, but then they never change. And so just as a reminder that everything you really want, that you want to have big in your life, is based on you getting outside of your comfort zone. And if you can manage to negotiate with yourself to stay in that place of discomfort, you typically will have tremendous success. So just don't underestimate on a personal level for each one of us individually that there's nothing comfortable about being on the pathway to better health. There's nothing comfortable in regards to being even more open and vulnerable and more connecting in your intimate relationship. Not hips. Just checking, Andy. That's just kidding, right? Right? But my point is that you really, as you move through your life, just recognize that. And then, of course, the obvious in this business is it's uncomfortable to be rejected. Like, to say that it's not is a little odd because it's the truth. It's uncomfortable to tell someone telling you to get off their property if you're knocking on their door. It's uncomfortable when you don't know exactly how they may respond in regards to a conversation about signing a contract or meeting or something. Just be okay with the discomfort, recognizing it's part of the journey that you each are on. Whether you're a newer licensee, been in the business just a few years, or you've been in it for forever, there's discomfort. And there's discomfort because it's the refining part of your life to make you better. And I've said this, and then we'll jump into these things here, but just remember, these markets that we're in require you to be a better person. So when it comes to being better at communicating, breaking through traumas and dramas of your life, breaking through disappointments and uncertainties, busting through the fact that not everybody's saying yes today, but there's enough people saying yes today that if you get in front of them, you're going to get enough yeses to make an incredible living. So just remember that, again, that everything you really want out of this business is outside of being comfortable. Once you start to recognize that and you dance with that and you embrace that, you start to have a much better life. And people are so committed as to what they will not do in this business. Well, I won't do this. I don't like to do that. If you are living that life in this business, you're going to be very unvaluable, and you're not going to be very productive in this business. So remember that the people that are chosen to either help someone buy a property or to help someone sell a property is based on the value that you bring to the table. It's the same thing. It's the value in relationship to title. It's the value in relationship to being a great loan officer. It's the value that you bring. And when we, even as an organization, don't bring enough value, well, people stop showing up and people start leaving the company and people think there's a better deal and a better situation, and because they don't either even see the value, know of the value, or experiencing the value. It's all the same principle no matter where you're coming from in this business, is that your income is in direct correlation to the value that you bring to the marketplace. And I said this earlier, and this will be a good segue into this, but just remember, I'm not talking about your value to your friends, the value you each are to your family, the value you are to maybe your religion or your church, not the value you are to God. You may be valuable in all these wonderful areas of your life, but we're specifically talking about the value that you are into this marketplace. And if you are not valuable to the marketplace, you probably aren't earning lots of money. Now, part of the thing that's interesting is many of you are playing the idea of being a secret agent. And you don't need to be a secret agent. It's because you're a secret and people don't know really how valuable you are because you're not talking and communicating with enough people. So don't be a secret agent. Don't be a secret marketer. Don't be a secret loan officer. Because the thing is that people will be with people and spend time with people and do things with people and give people opportunities for the people that they see. So don't underestimate it. It's very, very important. Okay, this morning, I start off with these 3 questions. And I'm not going to get into great depth of them, but it's a great starting point. And this is the deal. The way in which you make lots of money is you solve problems. So the question I would ask any one of you is, what problems are you solving? Because if you aren't solving problems in this marketplace, you are not winning. And so when I look at someone like Julie, who just stood up here and shared like, hey, how do you correct and move through a credit score? How do you get a rescore? How do you move? Like, it's to create value, to solve the problem. And she even said, hey, have any of you had it to where there's a credit issue with a client, in so many words? And almost everybody in here raised their hand. Well, because it's a problem. So if you want to be wealthy or valuable to the marketplace, you have to solve the problem. So in specifics to listings, right, if we talk in just listing formulas, you have to solve their problems. And as I said earlier today is we're preparing to sell our house. And the thing that is interesting to me is the least of my concerns are the fact of the sale of our house. I don't have any concerns about the sale of our house. I have concerns about maybe where I might move. I have concerns about the construction of this new home. I don't have any concerns about whether I'm selling the house. And if we assume that my problem is, well, the problem is they just want to sell their house, that's the least of my problems if any of you came in to talk to me. I would be like, that's not my concern. We live in this pocket of 3 or 4, I guess, kind of 3.5 circles. No one ever moves. I mean, Jen, I was telling this today, when was the last time someone moved in our neighborhood?
Years.
I don't remember. I mean, what do you say? There's 25, 30 homes in in our neighborhood?
It was Randy Eager 10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. But my point is the issue is not selling the house. So that's not my problem. The problem is I've been in the same area for 37 years, as I said earlier, and I want out. I want to escape it. I'm ready to move on. And so my problem is not, can I sell my house? But I know many agents would walk in and go, I know the problem is you want to sell your house. That's not the problem. So the question is, if you don't even know people's problems, and number 2, then how can you come up with a solution? Because that's what great leaders do. That's how you make the big money. You solve problems that they have. And if you can't solve any problems and you don't even know what the real problems are because you never really necessarily asked, then how do you list lots of homes? How do you have lots of buyer sales when you don't even know what the real problem is? So I just, again, as a great leader, you, me, us, have to figure out what people's problems are. And the only way you get into the depth of their problems, of course, is you start asking questions and get some level of depth, which we'll get into. Then you move to this next thing is, how do you separate yourself from your competition? Well, if there's nothing different between you and anybody else, it's probably, if we take listings, it's just going to be your commissions you charge and the price that you promise them that you believe the home could sell for. And if you have a high enough price and a low enough commission, they're like, oh, they got to be the right one. I want you to think about something. The obvious, if it's a loan officer, in fact, Kenzie just said this in another meeting, the obvious is that Julie should be able to close a loan. How many loans do you think you've closed in your lifetime? Seriously. Like, you've been in this business now, what, 40, are we going 40 yet? 30? 30? Okay, I'm sorry, I was checking. I'm for 30 years.
Oh my God.
How many loans do you seriously, what would be your?
I forgot.
Hey, but seriously, how many loans do you think you've really closed in your lifetime?
I don't know.
Thousands?
Yes.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000? I mean, seriously, because, in the heyday of different places I know you've worked, I mean, what, 5,000 times you closed a loan? Would that be at least a fair guess?
Yeah.
Okay. There should be no doubt, Andy, that she can close close on a house or close on a loan. So the issue isn't that for any loan officer, as an example, nor is it, do you actually believe, is there anybody who can't put a home, even if they had to go downstairs and ask how? Is there any of you who couldn't put a home on the MLS? No, unless you were a loan officer and don't have a license, I get it, or a title, I get it. But Tristan, is there any reason that you can't actually put insurance on an actual property for title insurance?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say there's a problem, yes, maybe there's a, but as a general statement, can you put insurance on any property?
Yes.
Hold on,
Wait.
no.
I'm confused.
I'm confused. I'm confused and I'm throwing her. Carla, is there any, yeah, I'll help her. Is there any reason you can't put a title policy of insurance on a particular property? As a general statement?
Yes.
There's no well, I'm asking for a no, there's no reason I can't.
I know you're not, but the question you're asking, is there a reason that you can't?
Can't,
Yes,
and
there
there
is.
is.
Well, I said as a no, I said as a general statement. As a general statement, on a normal not give me the exception, as a general statement.
Usually, yes.
George, ask an escrow officer, not a marketer. Go
Is there any reason as a general statement?
As a general statement, no.
Okay, can everybody from upstairs in this building to across the street at can everybody give you title insurance?
Yeah,
As a general statement?
yes,
So then what's the difference?
right.
What's the value of Tristan or Carla or Kristen or Krista, sorry, Christy, Joe,
Nice.
yes? Just checking. All right, but my point is like, this guy can't get anybody's name right. All right, good news is if, Yamela, you have no idea how hard it was for me to learn your name. And I didn't know if I was saying it right. See, exactly. See? I'm so bad. So bad.
You're actually really good.
I'm trying, Jen. She's giving me this look.
Like, you're really good.
I'm trying.
We know you know
Doesn't
Chris.
even get my name right.
That's right.
You know my name, so we're good.
That's right. You know what? I did. I was messing that up, wasn't I? I know.
You know what, you gotta give him credit, he does, if you are new, he will learn your name, and then he remembers it.
See, I know Savannah. That I can say. You wanna know why? Because I wanna play a golf course in Savannah, Georgia. So I can't forget that. How about you say your name for me so I might say it right?
Yamel.
Oh, Yamal. No A.
Hey.
Well, why didn't you slap me in the head instead of high-fiving me every morning? Yamal. Help them out.
Back on you.
Yes, exactly. I can't take responsibility for that. All right.
Yamel.
Yeah,
Yeah, Yamal. But no
Let's say it together, 1, 2, 3.
Yamal. Did we say it right? Okay.
We all know her name.
You know what? We do. And we know we can put title insurance on most properties.
Yeah.
That we know. So my whole point is if everything's the same, then how do you separate yourself? If Sean could put the home on the MLS, if John, or John, do you want to be John today, Bob?
Hey, whatever it takes.
If Bob can do a loan, or Julie, and Aubrey can sell a house and put it on, by putting it on the MLS, then what's so different about any of you? The answer is it has nothing to do, I wrote it up here, it's not what you're buying. It's who you are. And once you begin to realize that the greatest work, there's a reason why this company is a personal development company that happens to do loans, happens to sell real estate, of course supports Novation and other companies, but we happen to do that stuff because the great work is who you become. The difference of selling and listing doesn't have anything to do with your MLS. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with who you are and how you communicate and how you rise above all your competition because you're the strongest leader at that moment in the room. And if you can do that, you can win this game. And so the problem is that I watch agent after agent wanting to point blame everywhere out there for all the other reasons why they are not succeeding, and it has nothing to do with what's going on outside of them. The tragedies of divorce, the challenges and the sadness of loss, of death and estate sales, the issues of job loss or job gains and positives, or we got an inheritance to, hey, I got a ton of equity in my home and I want to go buy another one. All of these are reasons that continue to create deals that happen. And 31 years ago, on a sidewalk in Sugar House, at Jennifer and our little first apartment, my neighbor across the street put his arm around me and went, I don't know what you're gonna do. And I go, well, what do you mean, what am I gonna do? And he goes, well, what are you gonna do when rates go up? You can't make it in real estate. And man, Scott, that rattled me at 22 years old. Because I thought, what will I do? And so I had to, at that moment, to begin the process at that moment, and it took me, well, not that moment, I didn't figure it out that moment, but it took me a number of weeks, maybe even a few months, to be not scared, to recognize that market conditions have nothing to do with your success. Because rates will go up, rates will go down. Inventories will go up, inventories will go down. Job losses will happen, inflations will go up, and inflation will go up. It all is happening constantly. But if you want predictability and you want consistency to your business, wherever you're coming from in this room, then the issue is recognizing that the way you show up in this business as a leader is the answer. And here's the thing that's interesting. It's not sexy, it's not cool, it's not like, oh, come learn about the latest, greatest AI. Great, all of this crap of technology, and I say crap because at the end of the day, the market, this is so important, the market has absolutely screamed out loud that they will not buy homes or sell them without a human being involved, meaning the agent. That is a good thing, because that means you always have a future. Now, do I believe technology may improve process? Do I believe that AI could help in title? Do I believe it might even help in mortgages? Actually, it does. As we send different things, we have AI programs that yes! But at the end of the day, it is not AI that has a face-to-face conversation or on a phone with the other person to help them feel positive, to feel led, to have someone navigating. And if you lose sight of that, you lose sight of what you bring to the table. You have absolutely insane amounts of value. The problem is that you think that it's not you. And you may say, well, no, maybe some of you do. Yeah, I think some of you probably think that. But if you will buy in that you are the most valuable part of the transaction, not because you get to pound your chest and go, oh, look how cool I am. That's not what I'm talking about, some ego psychomaniac. I'm talking about the fact that you are the one who is the glue that sticks and keeps it together. And when you begin to realize the magnitude of importance that you have in relationship to where you show up, then you will show up not only more often, but you'll have more success because you are more valuable. And when you elevate your value, you elevate your income, because the market perceives you as valuable. So just remind yourself that to take more listings, to get more sales, to get more title business, to get more loans, it's all the same thing. For us to get more agents, it is the value that each one of us brings to the table. And when you get committed to the disciplines that are necessary, you'll win the game. But when you're committed to all the things you won't do, and won't try, and won't make an effort at, and what you don't feel comfortable with, and you get a long list going that you begin negotiating and saying to yourself over and over again, you won't do what's necessary. You won't become what's necessary because you're so committed on what you won't do. I won't call FSBOs. No. Oh no, I don't call people. Well, I don't knock either, but I don't do any, I just wait. If you are in that space, you have got to clear it up. And you've got to clear it up because the stuff that we're going to continue to talk about over the next 30 minutes is, yes, the problems that you solve for a seller, the way in which you craft a presentation. And again, because we come from a lot of different space in this business, it's the same principles. It's the same stuff. Like, if I'm entitled, do I really know the problems of what agents are dealing with that direct so much traffic to me? Do I really understand, if I'm a loan officer, the challenge of an agent and what their fears are and what they're scared of? Do I understand what truly a buyer or a buyer is dealing with as a loan officer? Do you as an agent truly understand the challenges and the problems that a buyer or seller really are having? If you don't understand it, you can't find the solution. Then you're guessing. And if you're guessing, well then guess what? Your next day or your next month of income is also a big guess because you can't count on it. You can't predict it. You can't duplicate it. You can't have consistency because you don't know what problems you're solving. But when you get serious about the problems you're gonna solve, then you can get serious about the solutions and then your income becomes consistent. So remember, knowing the problems and figuring out the problems and solving the problems is why you get paid the big bucks. It is not the fact that, the custodian, bless their little hearts, especially people who even clean this building. Man, I see their soul, I look in their eyes, and I see just the beauty of who they are. But that doesn't mean they're not valuable to their family, to their friends, and to God, or to even me. What it means is the market says, well, you only have this much value, so we'll pay you, who knows what it is, 10 or 15 bucks, 20 bucks an hour. I don't even know what they make. But I certainly know it's nowhere near what people are capable of making in this room because it's about value to the marketplace. Don't underestimate that you are your greatest asset. Work harder on yourself than you do at your own job, as Jim Rohn used to say. Because he figured out that the greatest value is who you become. And that is what people are buying into. Because everyone can do a loan, who's a loan officer. Everyone can produce title. We got that clear, right, Tristan? Right? We got it cleared up, right? You can do title, not you personally, but I get it, right? And number three, of course, you as an agent can solve problems for listings and buyers. And once you begin to realize that, it's like, okay, wait, where am I going? What can I achieve? What can I accomplish? Because again, if you can solve problems, you got this figured out. Okay, thoughts, comments, questions, anything? Yamel, anything? See, I got your name. We figured out her name. You didn't say something. How come you didn't say something?
I don't know.
You're like, well, you probably thought he's not very bright.
You say a lot of names
He's
wrong,
close
so.
enough. I said a lot of names wrong.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
know.
goodness. Listen to that. All right,
You call me Audrey sometimes.
that's right. I know, once, probably every other time. You could not have confused my life more by doing that. All right, okay, so let's first look at say, okay, what would you say? And I over the years, I literally would write down, okay, the problems. And we're getting into a listing presentation. So specifically problems, we'll just write up here, seller. So for you, what would be your best guess and judgment as to the problems that a seller is having? And I'm not looking for, I want a bunch of things in here. So I'm not looking for one specific answer, but what are the problems that sellers are experiencing today? Just give me anything.
People coming in and out of their house.
Okay, so if they've listed it, let's
Before.
well, I can still go with that, but just let's just.
Price,
Scheduling.
scheduling.
I'd say that's a problem after the listing, but
Subject
not
to
necessarily
sale.
during the listing.
I would say.
What are the problems that the seller is facing at that moment before you've listed? Maybe let me clarify. Okay, so commission,
George.
I don't disagree with you, April, I'm just saying that I think it's after we've listed.
Price.
Okay, so commission, so how much money they pay, okay, the sales price, right? How much they net?
Yeah.
Okay, sales price,
Condition of the home.
okay, so condition, what else?
Timing.
Okay, again, I don't,
Interest rate on a new home.
okay, so that's great.
Downsizing.
So
upsizing.
actually rates, right?
Repairs,
Condition, okay? I feel like
Getting rid
God
of-
just spoke to me right now.
Getting rid of stuff they don't use anymore.
What is it, say again?
Getting rid of stuff that they don't use
Okay, so
anymore.
clutter, okay,
Yeah.
I'll put it next here, so clutter,
Yeah.
right? The cleanup, or let's just, put the cleanup, okay, what else? What else problems, Jerry?
Subject to sale, I have
Okay,
several.
so subject to subject to,
concerning.
meaning that the offers come in when they come in,
Well, like
subject
they
to
have to
sale?
sell their house to buy it, and that's concerning.
Gotcha, so,
timing.
right? So,
Timing.
why did I write that up there? Timing, but I'm glad someone said it 3 times, that's good. We got it 3 times now. Alright, buy the next, let's just put next home, right, to your point, subject to, okay, what else?
They have to make enough money when they sell.
So they have to, so they have to net enough money, okay, yep, that's right, so net, I'm just like, but here's the really kind of fun part, right? As a general statement, I don't think it's, I mean, there's a funny part of it, but you guys repeated how much we net, you've repeated 3 times the timing. And I'm only saying that what you begin to realize is there's only so many problems. So the first thing is that even when you think about their problems, there's probably only a handful of them. There's not like new problems, like the problems of, how about this? Do you think in 1950 that people had the same problem as timing? Do you think they had the same problem with condition? In the 1950s, were they worried about their sales price? Were they worried about how much it was gonna cost them and what they were gonna walk? The answer is yes, yes, and yes, and yes. So the coolest part is when people say, oh, so much has changed in real estate. Has it? Are you sure? Even technology, what's changed? Oh, so you can speed up the efficiencies of talking to more people? So what else has changed?
That's it.
That's my point. Not a lot. And so the problem is that when we start thinking there's all these new problems, is there really new problems? There's not. I mean, we could list other things like get real specific, right? There could be possibly, a death, there could be an estate sale, everyone's mad, maybe you gotta calm down situations, maybe there's a divorce situation. I mean, we get really specific, but as you look at these are pretty generalized, it's like these are kind of the standard problems of everybody. I mean, timing's an issue. Of course, I want to net the most money possible on the sale of our house, right? I'm looking at the condition. We've lived in this home for 21 years. What are we going to fix, not fix? I mean, it took me literally 3 days. The most marvelous thing, Sherry, is I get to walk in my garage and guess what? It's in the same condition I came back from, or when I left it, because Isaac and Ethan and no one's there. So I clean it and it stays clean. It's a fascinating experience. I've never experienced that. Okay? I mean, usually there's all this boat stuff, fly fishing crap everywhere. I've cleaned it once and it stayed clean. It's amazing, Dayton. All right?
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, any other problems that just come to mind? What? Huh?
I
No?
said, why
When did I
can't
have-
do that? It's like, I'm the only one there, but it's always a.
Oh. All right. Okay, so problem, solutions. So let's just first though talk about, okay, these are our problems, we know we're gonna resolve them. Now how I would resolve them just in the actual presentation, I would be first focusing on what are your needs, your wants, expectations, words I would use, or I would also then add in what is most concerning to you, what do you see as your biggest challenges, what are you most concerned with? If there was a, kind of a burr under the saddle of a horse, what would be the thing that's stressing you the most? What concerns you the most? What are you scared about? What are you fearing? I mean, is that how you're opening your presentations? Think about this. Let's talk about the real problems. Let's talk about what you're dealing with. Let's talk about what you're excited about and what you're scared about. Well, that's a different conversation than, okay, well, here's me, I sold this house. Okay, here's me with my dog. Okay, here's me, summiting mountains. Here's me walking on water. Here's me, turning everything I've ever touched to sold. I just want you to think about how you're approaching conversations. How are you really getting into the depth of your relationship with another human being? Because if you aren't solving problems, you're not leading. Because people want problems solved, not more problems because they have you, right? I've often said this in the company. I love to work on projects. I just don't want you to be the project. And when you become the project, we have a problem. So just remember that as you're moving through this, first and foremost, find out what the problems are. Then you can begin to craft the solutions, which are all enclosed into just the simple summary or the orientation of our presentation. Okay, so now here's the question. Do you think that a seller knows your job?
No.
Who said that?
Me.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Steph, you are the first person I kind of tested this with when we go. I said, go to your office. This is years ago. I said, hey, just besides the obvious, well, I'm supposed to buy and sell property. Okay, could you expand on that just a little bit? What's your job? And I remember you came back to me and you said there was only one. I said, you gotta ask 10 people, what's your job? Well, when they say buy or sell property, you got, okay, but what does that mean? What does that look like? And every person but one, you told me, came back with stuttering and lack of confidence and not really sure. And do you know your job? Like truly, like what you're supposed to do? Now there's the daily activity of your job. I'm specifically talking about the job that you hold and carry specifically to the view of the market. What do you think most sellers believe your job is? Besides sell it, do you think they know what your job is?
No.
What do you think they would guess it to be?
Marketing or exposure.
Yeah, okay, we'll put a sign up, you can market it. Do you think but again, everybody can market it. So what is your job? Everybody can get a loan, so what's your job? Everybody can get a title policy, so what's your job? Do you really know your job? Because if you don't know your job, how do you express it to someone what your job is? So just remember the importance, and for some of you, it's just a good reminder because you've heard parts of this before, but I just want to remind you that if you aren't helping people understand what your role, your responsibility is, or the leadership you have to taking them through a process, and them not knowing it, well, then you leave uncertainties. But when you walk in with precision of knowing your job, ensuring that they know it, then you come to a place where you can begin to lead them. And again, a listing presentation is almost always ineffectively done when the first things you start to do is, let's talk about the price, Sherry. Let's talk about what it's gonna cost me. And you may say, well, but that's what they want to talk about. When did what someone else wants to talk about be the reason why you should talk about it? I mean, there are times when I've worked with what I consider, there's not very many of them, but I'll just say, just like there's not very many great agents, I'll talk to an attorney and I'm talking about something and they redirect me. Your job is to get people to focus on the right stuff. If you forget that, then you aren't getting them to focus on the right stuff. And earlier today I said, if you had an agent before you went and you're in a competing situation, you walked in and they said, oh, hey, I've been talking to this guy about technology. What do you think that the agent or the client wants to talk about at that point if they've had the last hour and a half of their life been talked to them about the newest and greatest technologies that are going to help them get their home sold? Gabe, what do you think they're going to want to talk to you about? Technology?
Yeah.
Of course they are. That's my whole point. So the thing is that your job though is to get people to focus on the right stuff. Because the problem is, why do I keep saying stop looking outside of yourself and start looking inside of yourself for the answers? Because the majority of humanity right now is out there pointing fingers and playing the blame the victim game in this business. And yet the problem isn't outside of you. And even if you could say, well, but some of it is, what are you gonna do about it? What are you personally gonna adjust rates? You're gonna, oh, hey, let me make a call. I'm gonna call Jerome Powell in the Federal Reserve, give them a piece of my mind and tell them what they should really be doing, and they're gonna listen to you? What do you have anything to do with what's going on the outside? So the issue is what are you doing on the inside? And when you can figure out the inside, well, boy, you can make some really big impacts on the outside for a lot of different people and a lot of massive influence. And in the end of it, you will reap tremendous economic benefit from that. So in this most simple form, I just want to break it down. 4 things that I believe is the role of the job, and this is part of your listing presentation. I also believe it's part of the buyer presentation. If Dayton was taking out a buyer, all I'd want him to do is exchange point number 2, which you'll see. Number 1, my number 1 job is to consult and to advise you. Now I might do something like this. I might say, hey Stephanie, how important is it that someone consults? Well, let me start off from the beginning. Hey, Steph, are you aware of what my role and responsibilities and job is as a real estate agent in helping you get your home sold?
No.
And you may say, well, just get it sold. Okay, besides just getting it sold, what else do you believe is part of that? Well, and then they're gonna say marketing, because that's what they always say. Oh, marketing, which we'll get to in a second, because it is a part of the role, no question. But it's not the only part of the role, right? It'd be like, well, if you asked, think about this. If you asked an agent, and you were a loan officer in this room, and you asked the agent, what do you think my job is? What do you think the agent's gonna tell you, Bob?
Get loans done.
Exactly. Just out of curiosity, Bob, Andy, how long have you been in the business? 15, for both of you. Do you think, Bob, there's more to your role than just getting the loan done?
100%.
Right. I just want you to think about that, right? Because is there more than just providing the title policy?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think even the buyer or the seller or even an agent thinks you do? That's the whole, I know what I would say to you. I go, well, yeah, I just want you to close my deal.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you do besides just close my deal? I mean, you know there is. Like, it's comical, isn't it? It'd be laughable of all the stuff that happens behind the scenes. And yet all of you agents go, well, I just want to close my deal. And I like the fact that they gave me a pen and I got a notepad when I went and signed and it was really cool. Is that really the extent of what she does? The answer is no. Nor is it the extent of what you do as an agent. But the problem is that you assume that people know what you do. Do you really know what Bob does? The answer is I know you don't. You've done a ton of new construction. Do you think that other agents really know what you do as a new construction agent, Sherry? No, for how long we worked? 16, 17 years together? My point is they don't. So even though we say, well, selling isn't telling, there is a part of this business that is telling. And you need to tell people, what is it that you do? And ask them, by the way, every time I will ask this, do you see value in that, Andy? Would that be valuable to have someone who consults and advises with you and shares with you all the dynamics of the market, the highs and lows, taking all the guesswork out of it, knowing you're protecting your family? Would that be valuable to you? Well, the hope would be, yes. I would think they would. But the thing is that have you really gotten serious about knowing what you really do? And by the way, I think the same thing applies, by the way, on the lending side. I'm going to consult and advise you, making sure that this is one of the most important decisions of your life. But I just do loans. Think of how shallow and ridiculous that is. Because the reality is it is. Because if you want to do a lot of business, you come across from you can even put /coach. And I always say this to any of our loan officers, I say to any marketer and title, like, your job is to consult, advise, and coach an agent and to hold them accountable to their dreams and their goals. Well, that's a different conversation than, well, are you going to do a title policy on this thing? There's so much more that you could be doing to be of more value. So the problem is that when you don't have value, you don't get paid. That's how it works, gang. It's not, I'm not trying to be critical. You're not valuable. It's because if you're not getting paid, you're not valuable to the marketplace. The market. Your spouse, your partner may love you. They'd love you more if you had more money, but they love you. Be easier to love you with more money. Because she is high maintenance. I just want you to know that. Ashley, high maintenance, you have no idea.
I don't.
Got Kenzie back there rolling her eyes. I'm Russ, I might be the high maintenance in the group.
Only a high maintenance person.
Okay? So another word you might put in there is coach, by the way, which of course has become pretty common in the world of business today. All right? Number 2. You are there to, yes, as you guys said, what the market and to expose. So if for me, if I'm working with a buyer, I'm gonna use the same list, it's to find the right home. Yeah, we're gonna go look at homes. If I'm lending, I'm gonna do your loan. If I'm entitled, I'm gonna get you that policy. But man, there's so much more that I do. Can I share it with you? Gosh, well, yeah, we're gonna market, we're gonna expose, man. You turn on a computer, there's no way you won't know about your home. In fact, you know what? Real estate and Century 21 are synonymous. You see a Century 21 sign, you know for a fact that this home is being sold. It's not some political campaign, social campaign. You know this person's trying to sell their home. There's not a single person on earth that will not know about your home if they have an interest in living in your area. Well, yeah, that's one of the things I would, and again, would that be of value? Yes. Would it be valuable to you for me to do your loan and get it done? Well, would it be valuable for you to actually find the right home? Yes. But it also, you do so much more than that. And if you undermine what you do as a leader and as a salesperson, you're losing out on so much business. If you don't think what you do has tremendous value, then it is in conjunction with your income. So sometimes we will downplay our importance, not because again, we're trying to sit here and hit our chest, look at me how great I am, but because you bring value to the table. And when you bring value with your consulting, your advising, the way you market or expose, or you help them through getting their policy for insurance or the loan that you get done, it's all the same. Find the buyer, it's all the same stuff. And if we forget that, then we forget the fact of the growth that's needed to truly help people to coach, to advise them and consult them. Because that becomes a personal project. Hence, we are a personal development company that happens to sell real estate. Number 3, I'm there to negotiate, to ensure the fact that the future is bright for you, to make sure I get you the best rate, to make sure that I get you the best price on your home, whether it's the buyer or seller, to help you to get the best there is, because I am here to negotiate on your behalf, to protect your equity, to protect you with your house payment, to ensure the fact that the future is bright. Because the fact is that I take this really serious, because most people think that negotiating is just throwing back a few scans or texts or emails back and forth, but it is so much more than that. It's understanding your greatest desires and needs and making sure that that is the priority. And that my commissions and my money and what I may earn from protecting you is not the highlight. The highlight is you getting what you want, and that's my job. And if I again was working with Andy, I'd say, Andy, is there value in having someone who is just so committed to ensuring your future is right? Would you want that? Or do you want just someone who says, oh, whatever commission, that's fine. Oh, whatever price you're willing to pay, that's fine. Are you fine with that? You say, well, I want a low commission. Yeah, but if I can't even hold firm on my own commission, how am I going to even hold firm on your price? They go hand in hand. If I don't see value in me, how could I have value in negotiating for you? So let's make sure we pick a price and pick a commission that makes some level of sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, then you miss out on the great upside of the negotiations that I'm going to do on your behalf. Fair enough? You see value in that? Is that something you'd like me to do? Would you like me to make sure that's something that is a priority, protecting you? Yes, yes, yes. Great. And maybe I close at that point, but I probably would go to number 4, depending on the situation. And I would go to number 4 and I would say someone has to oversee the deal, oversee the transaction. My job, look, the average sale takes over 150 phone calls just to get it sold. The average agent, average sale has at least 2 sales that have to happen. How many of you have listed a home and it didn't go through and you had to resell it? Ever happened? Happens all the time. But the better you are as an agent, the better chance you have of actually keeping it together. The better you are at negotiating, the better you are at collaborating, the better you are at working with the other agent. You need to be the glue, the stickiness, and the calm of the fire in that deal. And then again, what we will do is we want to look outside of ourselves for all the answers. I can't believe that agent did that. Have you considered the fact that the same things you're asking over here to figure out the problems are the same things you should be doing with the other agent? It might not go well if you go, what's your problem? That doesn't usually work. But if you were to say, hey, I can tell that there seems to be some problems. Let's get down into the root of that or the challenges of that because I want to help you solve them. Well, that's called leadership. That's called negotiations. That's called overseeing the transaction or the deal. Because that's what great leaders do. They make sure that they oversee something to see it to close. Any thoughts, comments, questions on that? Nothing? Steph, will you role play with me? I'm the agent, you're the client.
Okay.
And be nice. Can you be nice?
Yes, actually, I can.
All right. So Stephanie, are you aware of what my role and responsibilities are?
Just to get the home sold.
You are absolutely right. That is one of the most important aspects of getting your home, is to get your home sold. But the reality is there's so many things under that in relationship to getting your home sold. So let me ask you a question. Would it be important for you to know what my job and my responsibilities are on a daily basis to getting your home sold?
That would be some great information, yeah.
I agree. So let me just share with you first and foremost. Number one, my job is to oversee, oh my gosh, no, that's not my job. Just kidding. My job is, I could have cleaned it up and I would have caught it, but my job is to consult and to advise with you. To truly take the guessing out of the game of getting your home sold. To make it to where good decisions are being made because of the information, the data, and the things that are available so that you're making the best decision for you and for your family's future. Would you find that there's value in that, having someone who's truly committed to helping you understand what's going on in today's market, to consult, to advise, and even help coach you through that process?
Yeah, I could see value in that.
Yeah, exactly. May I share with you the second thing, which is the way in which we market and we expose a home. Meaning, we're gonna make sure that there is no way on earth that if someone has an interest in this area, this neighborhood, or even this state, they're gonna know about your home. Is that the type of marketing that you would expect from an agent you choose?
Yeah, I thought that's what you did.
Exactly, it is what we do. In fact, if you even look at the realities of our company and you look at the market, there is never confusion between Century 21 as an organization that helps people get homes sold and helps them buy them. There's never confusion when my card comes out or the sign is in the yard. Any person who knows about your property will know that it is for sale. And that type of commitment of marketing, I can just tell you, I believe there's no one like it in the world today that does it the way we do it. Would you find value in knowing that there's no way that your home gets missed? Is there value in knowing that your home is marketed to the nth degree?
I mean, that would be pretty powerful.
It would be fine. And here's the deal, the better it's marketed, the better that it's exposed. Is it fair to say that the more you market, the more we expose it, and the better that that's done, the better chance you have of not only selling it, but selling it for top price?
That makes sense.
Exactly. And may I share with you the third thing. Look, at the end of the day, I know we're gonna get offers on this home. And I know that you're gonna need someone who's gonna negotiate. Not just, hey, looking for a quick commission, looking for a quick buck, cutting corners, hoping that, you accept some lowball offer. That's not the game we're playing. My game that we're gonna play is we're gonna negotiate the best possible price on your home. And if I can do that, would there be value in knowing that, man, I did not leave any money on the table?
I mean, that's the goal. I would love to do that.
Exactly. And that's what I'm committed to doing. Because I know that once we've negotiated that offer, I also know that that fourth point is I have to oversee that transaction. Meaning that if no one's overseeing it and we're just hoping that it sells, when so many homes that go under contract fall apart at the last minute because of poor leadership. In a nutshell, my job is to oversee the transaction, to help navigate, to help lead, and to assist the process unfolding perfectly. So at the end of the day, you show up with a check or a wire in your account with all of your equity, and you and I are high-fiving, and you have had an extraordinary raving fan type of experience. Does that sound good?
That sounds pretty great.
I know it almost sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Because the reality is there's so many disappointed people out there in today's marketplace. But let me ask you something. Do you believe I could lead you through that process?
Yeah, you got me sold.
Do you believe that I would defend you at all costs, as long as it was moral, ethical, and honest, that I would be on your side?
Yes.
I can promise you I would, and I believe no one will be more committed to helping you get your home sold than me. So let me ask you a question. How do you feel about what I've shared with you so far?
Fantastic.
Do you feel like we could work together?
I actually do.
Do you feel pretty good about my company?
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty impressed.
Well, how do you feel about getting started right now and taking care of some paperwork?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get it sold,
Let's get it sold.
okay? All right,
I feel
come
like.
on, that was pretty good, Joe.
Awesome.
Okay.
Nice.
You were nice, but the thing is that when you walk up and show up with that type of commitment, who doesn't want to be nice to you? I mean, it wasn't about me, it was all about making sure you were taken care of. Man, if I help, it's the famous words of Zig Ziglar, I help you get what you want, inevitably I'm gonna get what I want. Guys, I can just tell you, that is the framework. Maybe there's some things you could add, maybe there's a few things you wanna take away, maybe you'd say it a little bit differently, but I don't care whether you're in lending, I don't care whether you're in title, I don't care whether you're in real estate, because it is the same thing. People need to know what you're doing. And they need to know that what you say is matching what you're doing. And what you say is what you're actually going to do. And that's how you live a life of integrity. So remember, find out people's problems, let them know what their job is, and then just in closing, let me just put these 3 things up here. But I believe you have the job of a seller, so the seller's job, number 1, 2, and 3. I said this to Andy just in private earlier this morning, but I said number 1, your job is to, the seller's job is to make sure that the home is available. Your job, the seller's job is to make sure that it's in the right condition, that it shows properly, and the job of the seller is to price it right. You don't own the home. Your job is to make sure they price it right. So isn't it interesting how good, do you know how you create a great partnership? Do you know how you last for 32 years? You know your role. You know your job. Do you know how you create great teams? Everyone knows their role and responsibility. Do you think there's confusion with Dave Parker, what his role is?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm certain he's not confused of what his role and his responsibility are. Is it fair to say that you've seen people come and go on his team that didn't understand their role
Yeah,
and messed it up, screwed it up, and didn't do their job?
yeah.
Huh, shocking. Because you can't have success not knowing your role. And you can't have success with another human being that doesn't also know their role and execute on their role. So your job, again, as a great leader, is to remind people what their job is, and your role and responsibility is to remind them, this is all I ask of you. Have it available, have it in the right condition, and at the end of the day, this is your home, not mine. I'm gonna give you all the information to consult, to advise, to help you know exactly what needs to happen next. But at the end of the day, Scott, you gotta price it right. It's your job as the seller. That's what we do. And when you begin to understand what your job is, what their job is, and you start figuring out what people's problems are, you are on the journey or on the pathway to making a heck of a lot of money. And that's the whole thing. So stop looking outside of yourself for all the answers. You're in the right environment. You're in the right place. And yeah, I probably don't sugarcoat a lot of things, and I offend someone every day. That's how I do it, Ashlyn. I try not to. I try. But I can't help myself. Can I, Steph?
Nope.
It's impossible. But
You didn't put the photography in that thing.
pardon?
You offended me.
Exactly.
You didn't put the.
This is true,
photography
Adam. This is true. Okay? But guys, look, you guys can do this business, and I know I've said this a lot, and if you haven't heard it, you should hear it. And that is that there's nothing in this business you can't do, there's nothing in this business you can't learn. So then go do it. And stop excusing yourself for not earning what you're worth and earning what you look at. And had a wonderful conversation with Lourdes today about desire and discipline and making sure that, you match. If you want a great life, then it's gonna come out of what you desire. But your desire will always match your discipline. So the discipline of learning types of things like this and other pieces to the presentation. But when you start realizing that your desires matter, and what is a desire? It is what you want wrapped with your emotion and your heart and your soul. And when you get really clear on what you want, and you get really clear on the desires that you have because the emotion that stands behind it, there's nothing that'll stop you. You'll make any call, knock on every door, have every, work longer, harder, later, earlier. You'll do anything because of what you desire. But if you lose sight of what you really want out of your life and you diminish your dreams and dim the light on what matters most to you, then all of a sudden you'll just start excusing yourself because all of a sudden you're like, well, man, I don't feel very good because I wanted this, but what I'm doing doesn't align with it. Well, then you have to lower your standard. You have to lower your goals. You have to lower what you desire because it's the only way you can feel good about yourself. But I can challenge any of you in this, and that is, you want an extraordinary life. Again, I go back to it's outside of your comfort zone. And if you want an extraordinary life, step into what's possible for you based on what you desire, because your discipline will follow your desire. Desire and discipline always go hand in hand. High levels of desire, high levels of discipline. Low discipline always comes from a weak, pathetic, just subpar desire. And sometimes we sabotage it, we forget about it, we don't think about it, it's not important, we make it not important. Don't be that person. Live the life you're destined to live based on the desires and the dreams and your most sacred aspirations. And if you will, then you'll pay the price to learn anything that's necessary to win the game because your desires are so high. Guys, thanks for being here. We're working more on it. Tomorrow we're working more on it in the morning. Love having you guys in the morning meetings. If you can't get here personally, man, jump online. But learn this stuff because there's nothing about the business you can't learn. It means you can do it all. You just have to figure out what you desire and the price that you're willing to pay for it. Stop getting so committed to what you're not willing to do. Your desires and your sacred dreams and aspirations are worth it. Pay the price. It's worth it to live the life that you're destined to live. But you can't live it and be free for it if you don't create disciplines in place. And part of those disciplines require your participation. They require your learning. They require literally the purifying of your leadership. And I'm not talking religiously, although it'll impact you spiritually, emotionally, but you can have it all. You can have it all if you will purify the process of selling. Like commit to being an extraordinary salesperson. Take pride in the fact that you sell and you bring dreams to people that come true. That's the cool part of what you do. So be sold on it and don't resist it and think there's something better, because nothing's better than helping someone live their dreams. And that's what you're doing when you're solving problems. That's what you do when you know your job and theirs. You're on the pathway to riches, not poverty. Riches. Okay? All right. Thanks, you guys. Have an awesome day. Let's rock and roll. Make it happen. Next week, you in the pantry. Make a lot of money and a lot of calls. You didn't want to do Krista today?
I don't.
You know, I appreciate you and